It's live now. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Kedar Devgaonkar. I am a spine surgeon. I am based in Pune, and I see patients at numerous places. I see them at Apollo Clinic also. Today we are going to talk about management of back pain. But before that, I'm going to just briefly introduce myself. I am from Pune originally. I've done my medicine from BJ Medical College, and I did my post graduation at Chandigarh in PGI. After that, I was in England for about 12 years. I also spent a year in the States on a spine fellowship. I was a consultant in England and then returned to India about 5, 6 years ago. I spent 5 years at Hinduja Hospital in Bombay, and now I'm in Pune. So Pune, I'm based at Dinanath Mangeshkar, where I do most of my operating, but I see patients numerous places, including Apollo Clinic. So today, what we are going to discuss is back pain and the management. So back pain is an extremely common condition. Almost everybody gets back pain maybe 2 or 3 times every year, and it is a very common problem. It is like common cough and cold. So the good thing is most of the back pain is not dangerous, and in 95% of the cases the back pain settles down without any major treatment or major investigations, and people don't need major workup for these back pain episodes. But sometimes the back pain doesn't go away, and that is when you need to go to a doctor to investigate and get treated. The common causes of back pain are poor posture. Nowadays, a lot of people have got jobs which involves a lot of sitting, and that is the cause of back pain. The posture when you sit in a chair is not good, and people sit without adequate back support in a twisted position. They sit on chairs for prolonged time without getting up in between, and that is one of the common causes of back pain. And that's why most of the people who work in the IT industry, who work in the banking industry, who are teachers, and their job involves a lot of sitting, they suffer from back pain on a very regular basis. So what is the big thing about back problem? Why are people worried about back pain? That is because the spine or the vertebral column is a very special structure in our body. And the function of the spine is to give stability to the body, to support the head, to support the body, but also at the same time, it has to give flexibility to the body. So only stability is not important, flexibility. So we need to be able to move our head, move our body in different positions, and that also is needed. So the spine is a special structure where you have blocks of bone called vertebra, and in between these two vertebrae there is this flexible structure called the intervertebral disc that gives us the flexibility. But because of this dual function of flexibility as well as stability, there is a high chance of injury to the spine, and that's why back pain, neck pain is very common. The other thing is in the spine there are nerves, and these nerves come out at every level from spaces in between the two bones, and that's why if there's any problem, the nerves have a chance of getting compressed, and that is why you get back pain which goes into the legs. You can have paralysis, you can have weakness of the arms and legs, tingling, numbness in the arms and legs, and that's why management of back pain is a little bit more complicated when you compare it to management of knee pain or foot pain. So uh, now, whenever a patient comes to me with, say, back pain, so my mind is always thinking about, is this pain really something to worry about, or is this one of those pains which usually goes away in 2 or 3 days? So that is the main thing. So there are certain red flags which alert me to the possibility of a dangerous cause of the back pain. And what are these red flags? So these red flags are as follows. So back pain which is associated with fever. Now, fever means some infection in the body. So the infection can also be in the spine. So if the infection is in the spine, the patient will get back pain along with fever. So fever and back pain, I cannot send the patient home. I need to investigate it further. The other thing which worries me is when back pain is there and also there is some weakness or numbness in the leg. That means that the nerve is getting compressed, and that patient also needs further investigation in the form of either an X-ray or an MRI. The other thing is, patient comes to me and says, doctor, I am getting back pain at night also. So normally the safe type of back pain goes away at night. When you take rest, the back pain vanishes. But if that doesn't happen, then that is a red flag, and we cannot just send the patient away. We need to investigate further. Then the other things are like back pain after a fall. So if a patient has had an accident and then he starts getting back pain, that means there is a chance of a fracture. So after trauma, if the patient comes with back pain, then we have to investigate because there could be a possibility of a fracture. The other thing which worries me in the story is if the patient says that, doctor, I've had some form of cancer in the past and the cancer is gone, but now I'm getting this back pain which is not getting better. So nowadays, because of the good treatment for cancer, patient live for a long time, and sometimes the cancer can return back in the form of metastasis to the spine. So breast cancer patient presenting with 10, 15 years, it's mandatory to get a MRI of the spine because back pain could be because of the cancer spreading out late to the spine. So these are 4, 5 things which I always have in mind. Another common thing in India is if the patient has had tuberculosis of the chest, then even in these patients, if they present with back pain which is not getting better, then that alerts me because then we need to get an MRI again because sometimes these TB can spread to the spine. So these are the things which I want to know from talking to the patient. After talking to the patient, I need to make up my mind whether we can send the patient home safely on simple painkillers or whether we need to do some more tests and investigations to be sure that these dangerous causes are not there. So once I have made up this decision, then I send the patient for tests if I think they are needed at that time. And these tests could be in the form of blood test, x-rays. If I'm still not convinced, then I send them for an MRI scan or a PET scan, depending on the case. And as the reports come, then we will treat accordingly. But for routine back pain, the commoner causes of back pain, what we usually need is rest, some simple painkillers. Then, usually, I give my patients calcium and vitamin D because that is very low in the Indian population, and some medications which help the muscular and the bone pain and the nerve pain. Osteoporosis, which is weakness of the bones because of a lack of calcium and vitamin D, that also needs to be treated. And that is also a common way of treating back pain in the long term so that it does not happen again and again. So, this is the basic philosophy of management of back pain. Now, the other thing, main thing is I don't just send away patients. Connection failed. At, at, are we live or do we? Shall I wait? Just check with her because otherwise I'll continue. I'm just going to pause. There's a bit of a problem in the transmission here. So we'll just confirm the connectivity and then I can continue. So just bear with me for a couple of minutes. Are we good? Okay. So sorry about that. So so I was saying that once you treat back pain, that means the patient goes away. That is not enough. We need to ensure that the patient does not come with a second attack of back pain. And how do we prevent the second attack of back pain? First of all, advise about proper posture. Posture when the patient is sitting, when the patient is lying down. Second is proper advice about exercises. Exercises are usually meant to strengthen the muscles which support the vertebral column. So neck and low back strengthening exercises, these need to be taught. So posture, exercises, appropriate diet advice, appropriate supplementation about calcium and vitamin D, and regular exercise program to keep the back flexible as well as the muscles strong. So that is comprehensive management of back pain. And for the serious causes, then we treat them according to the cause. If the patient has back pain because of tuberculosis, then we treat the TB. If the patient has had back pain because of the spread of cancer, then we treat that. And if the patient has had got a slip disc, then we treat that. So find out the cause, rule out the dangerous causes, and treat the cause accordingly, and then prevent the second attack of back pain by doing preventive measures to prevent the recurrence of back pain. So I think I'm going to go to questions now. So we have a question here from Aditya Rana, and he's asking, is it better to sleep without a pillow? So now, this is a very common question. Thanks for asking. And a lot of patients ask me, what is the best position to sleep? Now, the thing is, like, everybody has their own position of sleeping. Everybody has their own position of comfort. Some people like to sleep on their back. Some people like to sleep on their sides. So for those people who sleep on their back, I always advise a very thin pillow. I don't want a very thick pillow. So the bottom line is, in your lying down position, your head should be in line with your body. If you take too thick a pillow, then your head has to go forward, and that is not a good position. So when you're sleeping on your back, you need a slim pillow. But there are some people who sleep on their sides. So if you sleep on their side, there's a big gap which is there in between the shoulder and the basically neck, and that has to be filled up. So if you're sleeping on your side, you tend to I tend to tell my patients that use a thicker pillow. Okay, so that is the question. Now there are some more questions which are coming up, and I will answer them one by one. uh, so the one common question is, when should I see the doctor if I get back pain? So basically, the answer to that is, a day or two you don't have to run to the doctor. So you can wait for a day or two, and if the back pain is not going away with rest or simple painkillers, then that is the time to visit the doctor. Obviously, if the back pain is real bad, or if you're getting fever or weakness and numbness in the legs, then you just have to go and see the doctor straight away, as these are the red flags which I mentioned earlier. Second question is spine surgery safe? It's like asking me, is flying safe? Is traveling in an aircraft safe? Of course it is safe, provided you have all the safety measures, provided the pilot is well trained, provided the aircraft is well maintained. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, spine surgery, or any surgery for that matter, is safe when it is done for the right indications, when it is done by a well qualified person who is doing that on a regular basis, and where it is done in an environment where all the safety precautions, all the devices needed for safe spine surgery are there. So nowadays, spine surgery is definitely much safer than what it was 30-40 years ago, and the complications happening after spine surgery are extremely minimal. So definitely it is safe, provided it is done in the right setting. Importance of diet in spine problems. So, spine is basically bones and intervertebral discs, and for bone health you need good calcium and vitamin D in your diet. So that is the building block of spines. And the nerves in the spine, they need good amount of vitamin B12. So what are the common sources of calcium and vitamin D? Calcium and vitamin D, unfortunately, most of these are animal sources. So milk, cheese, fish, and obviously sunlight is there, but nowadays in the modern life, exposure to sunshine is very limited. So we have to rely on intake of these important nutrients, and a non-vegetarian diet, otherwise supplements on a regular basis, and keeping a check on your blood levels of vitamin D. Vitamin B12, unfortunately, again, for Indians, it is basically a non-vegetarian vitamin. It is common in meat and animal products. So the problem is with B12 deficiency, which is necessary for the nerves. And for that also, either you take non-veg food if you're a non-vegetarian, or you take supplements and regularly check your vitamin B12 levels. So another question is, what is the role of exercise in spine health? I would say there's a role of exercise in all kind of health, and spine is no exception. So you need good muscles to support your spine. Good muscles can come only from regular exercises in the form of stretching and strengthening exercises. So, it goes without saying that exercises are very essential for good health of your spine. And the age old thinking that with age everybody goes from a straight spine to a curved spine is not correct. In my practice, I see patients in their 80s and 90s who sits straight, who stands straight, and you wonder how come that man is so fit. But when you go into the details of what has caused his spine to stay so healthy even in his late life, is he invariably says that the diet is good, his lifestyle was active, he's been doing regular exercises, he's being conscious with his posture, and all these things are important for spinal health. uh, Dangerous problems in the spine. As I said, these red flags are all dangerous problems. If you get a spinal fracture, then that needs to be looked after carefully, because it is potentially dangerous, because the nerves can get damaged. If you have infection of the spine, that is also a dangerous problem. Tuberculosis of the spine is potentially dangerous. So most of the problems, if you don't get them checked early, they can become dangerous eventually. So early problems are not dangerous, but late stage problems, be they infection, fracture, or tumor, they can get dangerous. Recent advances. So nowadays, this is a technology driven age, and there are a lot of newer technologies which have come up, which have made spine surgery quite safe. And there are numerous appliances, equipment we use in operation theaters which make spine surgery safe. We use neuromonitoring for spine surgery, which ensures that we don't damage the nerves during surgery. We use high quality x-rays and navigation systems for surgery, which makes spine surgery safer. We use excellent quality MRIs in our preoperative workup or in our investigations. Now, this technology of MRI has given such a nice clear cut picture of the spine that the practice is such that the diagnosis is accurate, and hence it becomes safer. So spine surgery has become much more effective, much more safe, because of these recent advances, which has made operating quite safe for us. Another question is being asked is, can being on prone phone or laptop for more than 8 hours cause back pain? Of course, being on the phone and laptop is not what you were designed or supposed to do. And if you're on the phone or laptop for a continuous 8 hours, then these people commonly get back pain or neck pain. Now, you can stay on the screen provided the screen is at your eye level, so that when you are looking at the screen, you're not bending your neck like that. So if your head stays on your shoulders in the front and the side view, then you can stay working on the screen for a long time. However, the posture of the spine when you are working has to be correct. And the same thing about your low back posture. When you're sitting in a chair in front of a screen, your low back has to be straight as much as possible, with some back support and armrests also. So that these are things which prevent back pain for people who have sitting jobs. Other thing I tell people is, when you are have a sitting job, you get up after every 45 minutes. You can stand up and work for 2 3 minutes, then go back to the sitting position. Okay. um, I don't think there are any more questions which have been left unanswered. So yes, thank you very much for all the audience. Thank you to Apollo Hospitals for giving this opportunity. So if there are any more queries or questions, you can approach me through Apollo either online or through the local clinics in Pune. Thank you very much. Namaste.